What has made you bail out of sleeping with someone? Went for a Facebook booty call a while back. Her 7- and 9-year-old daughters kept walking in and she told me to just ignore them. She also insisted on blaring George Strait while we went at it. Between her kids walking in and "All my exes live in Texas" blaring from her speakers, I just couldn't do it. I noped the frick out. Her come-on line was, "I know a guy who'll give us all the crystal we can smoke if we frick right in front of him." In high school, freshman year, I dated this girl for about a month. When we did the deed for the first time, she rips off the rubber, says she wants me to drop my seed inside her because she wants to start a family, pulled my pants up and left immediately. Years later, she has a kid with her new boyfriend. Train successfully dodged. A guy used the line, "I want to fill you with my seed" in a pub once, did not let go of my friend for hours. Asked her if she was clean and she said, "Yeah, it's a long story, but a lot of stuff happened, and it turns out now I can't get transmissibles." I thought to myself, you know what, I don't want to do the deed that bad, and I left. This reminds me of a prior roommate who said she doesn't use rubbers because she can't get pregnant and doesn't sleep with people who have transmissible diseases down there, but she wasn't getting tested or having people get tested. She never went into any detail on why or how she knew she couldn't get pregnant, just because of some stuff that had happened, hence you reminding me of her. A couple of months after I moved out, I found out she's pregnant. Yeah, so that plan worked out all kinds of well, huh? Glad I got out of there before a kid was around. Dealing with her was a headache enough, not because of her personal crap or not using rubbers, she was just crazy. Guy I worked with walked around telling everyone that he F's his girlfriend without a rubber because guys can't get warts down there. I told him that not only has he basically told everyone that his girlfriend has warts down there, but he probably has them now too because men can indeed get them. It's just not as likely to turn into cancer for them, and now he'll have to use a rubber with everyone for the rest of his life or risk infecting them with something that could give them cancer. Of course, I'm the bad guy for telling him that. We were in his car fooling around after leaving the bar together. I asked why we couldn't go back to his house. He said his wife was home. Nope. He didn't want to wake her up. How considerate of him. Well, we don't know if they had an open relationship, but I'd say the odds aren't good from what we've heard. Better luck at the next bar. This is my favorite story to tell. I'm a type 1 diabetic and my nickname where I'm from is diabetes, so everyone knows I have it even though some people would still be like, "Oh, you're actually a diabetic?" Anyways, I met this girl at a house party one of my friends was throwing. This was back in 2010, 2011. As the night goes on and drinks get consumed, we get all love drunk and go to bang it out. About halfway through our session, she randomly kicks me off and pushes me away. Stop, I can't do this." I freak out thinking that I've done something horribly wrong. What's going on? What happened? She looks straight at me and I crap you not, she says to me, I can't catch diabetes." All I could think to say was, "You've got to be fricking kidding me." Her incredible response, and again, I swear on my inability to produce insulin, I'm not making any of this up, this is word for word burned into my memory, I can't get diabetes. It's like cancer, I just can't catch it." By the time she said cancer, I had my pants back on and was running down the stairs. I get back to the party and all of my friends are like, "Whoa, look who it is, how was it?" You will never believe what the frick just happened to me. In conclusion, my type 1 diabetes not only blocked me, but apparently is a transmissible disease similar to cancer? She also wasn't lying when she said it's like cancer. Neither of them are communicable. In fact, maybe those were all separate statements. I can't do this. I can't catch diabetes. It's like cancer. I used to have hepatitis, but I swear I'm clean now. A lot of people have remarked to me that Hep C is treatable now. Let me tell you, when you've both just got back from a raging party in college, everyone's drunk and in the buff, and you're collectively about to get your Discovery Channel on, this is high on the list of things you don't want to hear. Are you sure? I'm positive. I fricking knew it. First time at this girl's apartment, we were hanging out for a while and she tells me she's always had this fantasy about being with a black guy. I figure that being one was to my advantage this situation, so cool, definitely going to get some kind of action. We're making out for like 20 minutes and she gets undressed and I get undressed and we start getting really close to each other and she goes, "Wait, stop." So I back off and she goes, No, keep going." So I position myself back over her and she goes, "Please don't." So I get up, done with it at this point, and she gets mad. "You're ruining it. You're supposed to force me to." It's been like 8 years and still nothing as crazy as being an unwitting participant in someone else's, forced fantasy. She clearly had a very specific fantasy in mind, but she's at fault for not bringing it up beforehand. Finding out she's pregnant and still with the guy. Well, at least you knew you weren't going to get her pregnant. At the bar one night and it was pretty packed. I finally made it to the bar and this definite cougar comes over and starts hitting on me hard. I talk her up a bit but play it cool. She's not bad looking, but I'm not sure if I'm down just yet. I finally ask her what she'll have to drink. I wanted to just go ahead and buy her the drink, so maybe she'd back off a bit since I knew that's what she wanted. Got her some sugary mixed shot and she threw it back, leaned in lightning fast and laid her lips on me. I pulled back after a second as this hot younger chick ran up and screamed, "Mom, get out of here! You're ruining my night!" Instantly turned around and got away from that fricked up family reunion. We had a party at my house with roommates. I passed out sitting on the couch. I woke up with a raging hard-on and my roommate's wife, in only her pink bathrobe, was rubbing my wang through my pants while her husband was lustfully watching. I jumped up, spilled my beer all over myself and went to bed. "Did you move out? 'Cause I'd imagine it would be pretty frickin' awkward around there after that." I moved out a few months later. We never spoke of it. I found they replaced me with a cam girl they met online, which means my old room must be her new studio. Prior to divorce, wife wanted to have unprotected fun out of nowhere, after literally 6 months of refusing to put out. And I suspected she was trying to get pregnant to prevent the impending separation. Nope. Or she'd barebacked someone else and wanted you to foot the bill. I felt something rubbing against me while I was inside, and after feeling around in there, I removed a very grey, very soggy, old tampon. That was the end of the night for me. I mean, you probably saved her a trip to the ER. I was the noped-on person, and I don't blame the dude. Short version, I started crying about my ex and threw up. I literally never throw up from drinking, so that was a weird one for me. At least we were in my place and I made it to the bathroom. Yeah, he noped and I cried and begged him not to leave. After that, I decided drinking with a broken heart is a bad idea. Well, at least you have the hindsight to learn from the experience. Hope things are going better for you now. A girl I used to date and I were doing the deed in the dark. Unbeknownst to me, my nose started bleeding. I went to grab her chest, and they were wet as frick. It took me a while to realize what was going on, but once I did, I immediately stopped. It was pretty embarrassing as she was covered in blood. It was a really hot summer with no AC, so apparently she just thought I was sweating intensely. Asking me to just take her when she wasn't expecting it. To be clear, she had a fantasy of being taken against her will, whereas it was my very first time to be getting it in, so to speak. I was not okay with it. Finding out the guy, who at the moment had me in a very uncompromising position, got off on the idea of forcefully infecting others with a transmissible disease. I didn't stick around long enough to see if he was actually serious. I stopped hooking up for a good long while after that one. Got to his place, walked into a room and saw that it was completely bare except for a couple of lights and a tarp spread across the floor. Immediately turned around and walked out the door, got in my car and left. Don't know what the tarp was for. He was either going to murder me or wanted me to pee on him. Either way, nope. Nope.
Do you like Huey Lewis in the news?
Is that a raincoat?
The dog jumped on the bed and started to lick the girl down there and she didn't push the dog away.
She took off her shoes and the smell could have killed a horse. It nearly killed me. Smelled like a hobo in a recycling room. The mood was killed. I was nearly killed. I left both disgusted and concerned. Pretty girl, though. Almost lost my virginity, but I didn't because of Pokemon. I was a teenage virgin in a long-distance relationship. Boyfriend calls, says his parents will be out of town and I should come over. I scramble, trying to figure out what people wear to do this, and we didn't even have Walmart in my town to buy lingerie, let alone somewhere classy. I make the 2-hour drive, we started making out in his bed, get a little hot and heavy, and I undress down to my hottest undies. He gets up and goes to his desk, and I assume he's getting a rubber, which got him a huge bonus point from me, because it was my first time and I didn't really know how to ask about stuff like that. Instead, he pulls out a sketchbook, beams at me, opens to a page and goes, "See this drawing of Charmander I made?" I say, "Yes," and then he comes back to bed and starts flipping through his sketchbook, showing me his Pokemon drawings while I sit there in my undies, stunned by the turn of events. We do this for a good 15 minutes, then later he tries to get us started again, but I was just not having it. We fall asleep, still virgins, and woke up to watch Power Rangers because why the frick not at that point, right? When this girl I was hooking up with kept talking about how babies brighten her day, then she insisted we didn't use protection. Wise move, my friend. You can submit your own stories to be featured here on the channel. The story submission link is in the description below. And if you want to listen to some vibey music in the background, check out easymode, also linked below, and subscribe. Had a great first date with this one, a blast. Went back to her place, started to hit it doggy. She reaches over to her nightstand and pulls out a rolled-up pouch, unrolls it and pulls out a syringe. Asks me if I've ever tried smack. Instant limp eggplant. I broke the frick out so quick I don't even remember getting dressed.
This thread is pretty much a PSA to keep your private parts clean. So many filthy eggplants and manky tacos. Do people not wash?
I have a few instances I can think of. Number 1, while in the middle of losing my virginity after sneaking a boy into my room, in the wee hours of the morning he suddenly jumped up and started pacing the floor. He really needed to crap, so I said the bathroom was immediately outside my door to the right. He opens the door and then slams it shut. My dad was in the kitchen, which was in clear view of my bedroom door. He ended up just standing there and crapping himself. I'll never forget that smell. And I didn't have air freshener, so I sprayed some flying insect spray that had a sweet smell to it. Anyway, when the coast was clear, I escorted him to the bathroom where he gets in the shower. I had to make it look like it was me showering, therefore, I had to sit in the bathroom while his crappy boxers stunk up the place. He gets out, puts his boxers in a few plastic bags, and changes into fresh clothes. Then he tries to continue doing the deed. I was like,
You can go out the window?
We still keep in touch on Facebook and he uses that as a funny story to tell our mutual friends. Number 2, I picked up a dude at a bar who was hands down the funniest person I'd ever met, and that was severely attractive to me. It also helped that he was just generally attractive. While going down, he asked me if I could take some pictures of him with his phone. I grab it and as I'm taking the picture, his girlfriend sends him a goodnight text. I just hand him the phone, and he lets out an exhausted sigh. She won't stop telling me she loves me and I don't want to lead her on. Okay, kind of uncomfortable, but we keep doing the deed. He starts to get very rough with me, biting everywhere, making my lips bleed, calling me a whore, basically using me as a doll. Which would have been fine if discussed beforehand. I don't like to be ambushed. Then he grabs me by the throat and demanded I told him I loved him. Freaked me the frick out because of his crazy eyes. I had this intense sense of dread that's hard to describe, but it felt like in that moment I was in danger, so I just pushed him off me, grabbed my clothes, completely wordless, and literally walked into the apartment complex hallway in the buff where I got dressed in the stairs. Number 3, and last but not least, the guy who, while I was lying undressed on his bed waiting for him, proceeds to casually pull out a syringe from his nightstand and shoots up right in front of me. He slid onto the floor giggling, and I just got dressed and left without him even noticing. Very blatant, very obvious warts down there. He said they were skin tags. Dude, I know warts when I see them, and I don't need that stuff in my butt. Did the deed on the 3rd date. Things were going well, and then as we're lying there, she says, "Now that we're in a relationship, I need to be the one in charge. That means no adult magazines, and I need to access your Facebook account and email so that I know you aren't cheating on me." I noped out of that one.
An honest question. Did she think you couldn't get like a million new Gmail addresses for any hush-hush stuff even if you gave her your main address? Oh, and zero trust is a wonderful thing to build a relationship on.
I was going down on a lady on her couch when she stopped me. She rolled onto the floor and reverse army crawled into her dog's bed and told me to take her there. Her 2 cocker spaniels were now awake, standing at attention on the side of their bed. I noped the frick out of that scene. Look folks, if you're doing the deed and are both into this, then as far as I'm concerned you can do whatever you want in your own home. But it is a bold move to try to move into this without discussing it with your partner first. Met a girl at a club and went back to her house. Everything is going fine, nothing out of the ordinary, until her housemate comes home. I was like, maybe we should stop, or at least close the door? She replies with,
"Oh no, it's okay. He likes to listen and sometimes he watches from the hallway."
She wasn't joking either. I put my clothes back on and walk out, and there he was, just giving himself a good time in the frickin' hallway. I was on vacation in the Dominican shortly after graduating high school with 5 of my friends. Met this cute Bolivian girl in our resort, and we hit it off. A few hours later, I'm in her room. We're going at it. She repositions onto her hands and knees and tells me to put it in her butt. I ask for lube and she hands me a bottle. I was giddy with excitement because I'd always wanted to do this. I lather up both of us and slowly slide it in, but she had clearly done this a few times before now. Now I'm pumping her hard and have thrown caution to the wind. We hear a keycard go into her door and the handle turn. She frantically whispers, "Novio," boyfriend, and I realize that I have 3 seconds before I get my butt beat. I pull out at lightning speed and she yelps, liquid crap sprays all over my stomach and wang, and I grab my shorts off the floor and run out of the balcony and hop the ledge. Thank God that room was on the first floor. I don't think the guy chased me, but I sprinted away. Still very much in the buff and definitely covered in crap. I cleaned myself in the ocean and hit the bar. I just love the image of her boyfriend coming in and seeing her undressed on the bed with a stream of crap all over the mattress.
I wonder if the absolute shock of seeing that maybe distracted him from realizing the full context of the situation.
We should get you to a doctor. That's the 3rd time this week. Went to a very alternative punk girl's place for a booty call. She said she wanted to take a bath together and I was all for that. She goes to run water while I finish my drink. We're getting into it and head to the bathroom. We strip down and I get in the bathtub and sit down. Then I looked up at her and she was pulling razor blades out of a cabinet. She wanted to cut me and have me cut her. Nope. I have never gone from soaking wet to fully clothed and walking down a sidewalk so quickly in my life. I ghosted that girl and I have no regrets. She started rubbing my chest in the exact same way my ex used to, and I realized I was still super in love with her and started to cry. She noped the frick out of there. It was after a hookup. I wanted to leave and he tried to cling on to me saying, "Oh, please don't go. I want to show you to my roommate."
Spoiler alert, his roommate was in the freezer in pieces.
Her son coming into the room and sitting down to play Xbox and her telling me it was okay to keep going.
Playing Xbox, he's probably used to people fricking his mum by that point.
When she took off her undies, it immediately smelled like 8 cans of shark crap. I told her I needed a cigarette and hit Mach 3 out of there. She had 5 stars tattooed just above her hoo-ha. Wasn't going to lay pipe, but with ratings like that. I let a woman take me home from a pub here in Edinburgh. She seemed a little bit sleazy, but she had a J-cup. Honestly, that had sort of got stuck in my eye and my imagination. When we got to our place, it was about 2 a.m. There were like 7 kids running around the flat, eating cake and candy and drinking iron brew straight from 2-litre bottles. They were, most of them, about 12 years or less of age, except one sullen 16 to 17-year-old boy who sprawled in the chair staring at me, and a dog running around. I went to the toilet and there was dog crap in the bathtub. The wheels for my mega bosom fantasy night had just fallen off the wagon. I sort of didn't know what to do at first. I didn't want to stay, but I didn't want to tell her in front of our little tribe that I wanted to bail, and then have to sit there and wait for the taxi to turn up on the outskirts of the city, in a housing estate, and risk some sort of confrontation that could turn into a horror show. So I went to bed and fooled around a little bit and then claimed to be too drunk. She drove me home in the morning. No way I was getting involved in that scene. My ex didn't have a rubber, so he wanted to use a sandwich bag instead. I left with so many unanswered questions in my head like, did this guy really ask to use a sandwich bag? Is that a thing? Are people really using sandwich bags as protection? During my drunken single heyday, I met a woman at a bar during my friend's birthday outing with whom I hit it off. We even made out in one of the restrooms. Sleazy, I know. We get back to her place and she informs me that her roommate will be home soon. Turns out he was her on and off again boyfriend who had helped her, financially, to get through her cancer treatment. Overwhelmed and quite uncomfortable, I decided to bolt, despite her insistence. After I left her apartment, I managed to get myself lost in the building and couldn't find a viable exit. I ended up having to crawl out of a window and managed to get out onto the street side near the building. I walked toward the main drag and ran into the birthday boy. We had a drink and parted ways. Single life in New York City never gets old. Spooning after first date wild fun times, he hugs me like a vice and says he's going to take me to Vegas tomorrow and we'll get married. He was dead serious. I was a puff of smoke. For the train of people saying, "You got Mosby'd," and living in the slim hope that I can resurrect my inbox, here's the tail end of this little snapshot into my fun time nopes. I wasn't Mosby'd that time anyway. Whatever the female corollary to "don't put your wang in crazy" is, it applied to this sitch instead. He harassed me for weeks, but silver lining also revealed himself as one of the greatest insult artists on the planet. I wasn't even fully terrified half the time because his diatribes were genius. A few months later, he had found a new target and married her. They're raising his young daughter together and he continues his job as a paramedic, who might just roll up to your car wreck if you live in Atlanta. Every time I see an ambulance from that particular service, I still hold my breath. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications. Put the playlist on in the background to finish listening to all the stories, or if you want some vibey music to put on in the background, check out easymode. If you like Am I the Genius, give Am I the Jerk a shot. Everything linked in the description.